The press conference was supposed to be controlled. That was the lie they told themselves as they walked into the white, overlit room where microphones waited like open mouths. Rosé felt at the moment she sat down, the air was wrong, too charged, too eager. Bruno leaned toward her and whispered, "If this goes sideways, don't answer anything you don't want to." She gave a small nod. "If it goes sideways, I won't be silent." Cameras flashed before the first question was even asked. "Bruno," a reporter called out immediately, "do you regret choosing Rosé knowing it destroyed a friendship?" Rosé's fingers curled into her palm. Bruno took a breath. "I regret hurting someone I cared about deeply, but I don't regret loving her." Another voice cut in sharply. Jennie said she felt emotionally used. Do you deny that? Before Bruno could answer, Rosé leaned forward, her voice calm but trembling underneath. "Stop talking about her like she's not human. She doesn't need to be defended or denied." She spoke her truth. The room murmured. A reporter smirked. "So you admit the relationship overlapped?" Rosé felt Bruno stiffen beside her. "Yes," she said, the word falling like glass. "Emotions overlapped. Silence overlapped. Fear overlapped. That's the truth no one wants because it doesn't make a clean villain." The room exploded with noise. In another part of the city, Jennie watched the live stream from her car, jaw tight, eyes glossy but dry. Her phone buzzed endlessly, but she ignored it, until a message from Bruno came through. "I'm not running anymore, even if it costs me everything." She stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed back. "Then don't let her pay for your courage." Back in the conference room, the questions turned sharper, crueler. "Rosé," someone asked, "do you think Jennie used her song to manipulate public sympathy?" Bruno slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough." But Jennie's name was already burning on Rosé's tongue. "No," Rosé said firmly. "She used her voice to survive. If that scares you, maybe ask why." A pause followed, heavy and stunned. The conference ended abruptly after that. PR handlers rushed them out through a side door, whispers chasing them like ghosts. In the car, silence stretched until Rosé finally broke it. "You hesitated again," she said quietly. Bruno looked at her. "About what?" "When they asked if you destroyed a friendship," she replied. "You said you hurt someone. You didn't say her name." He swallowed. "I didn't want to drag her back into this." Rosé shook her head, eyes shining. "Or you didn't want to admit how deeply she mattered." The words landed hard. "I loved her," Bruno said finally, "but not the way I love you." Rosé laughed softly, bitterly. "Love isn't a ranking, it's a responsibility, and you're still learning that." That night, everything detonated. Jennie posted a single photo. No caption. Just her on stage, eyes closed, microphone in hand, light cutting across her face like a blade. The internet lost its mind. Speculation spiraled. Apologies were demanded. Allegiances were drawn like battle lines. Rosé sat on the floor of the apartment, phone in her lap, tears blurring the screen. "I never wanted this war." Bruno knelt in front of her. "Then we end it." "How?" she whispered. "By pretending it didn't cost her." He shook his head slowly. "By letting her speak again, with us listening." The next day, against every piece of professional advice, they went to Jennie's rehearsal. She didn't look surprised when she saw them. "So," Jennie said, arms crossed, voice cool, "you're brave now." Rosé stepped forward before Bruno could speak. "I'm terrified." Jennie studied her. "Good, that means you're awake." Bruno cleared his throat. "We didn't come to justify ourselves." "No," Jennie replied. "You came because you can't breathe without closure." Rosé's eyes filled. "I came because I don't want my love to erase yours." Jennie looked away, jaw tight. "Love didn't erase me. Silence did." Bruno took a step closer. "Then let me say it out loud. I loved you. I failed you. And I'm sorry not to ease my guilt, but because you deserved honesty sooner." Jennie's breath caught despite herself. She laughed shakily. "You really know how to show up late." Rosé reached out, stopping inches away. "If I could go back." You can't, Jennie said softly, but you can stop pretending this was painless. Silence wrapped around them, thick and fragile. Finally, Jennie exhaled. I don't want your apologies anymore. I want space, and I want you both to stop speaking for me. Rosé nodded immediately. Done. Bruno hesitated only a second, then nodded too. Done. Jennie met Rosé's eyes. Love him fully, not loudly, fully. Tears streamed down Rosé's face. I will. Jennie turned away, picking up her microphone. Then this is where our story separates. As Rosé and Bruno left the studio, neither of them spoke. Outside, the city hummed, unaware of the quiet earthquake that had just settled something broken. Later that night, Rosé stood alone on stage during sound check, empty seats stretching into darkness. Bruno watched from the wings as she sang softly, voice raw, unprotected. Not for the crowd, not for headlines, for everything they had all survived. And somewhere across the city, Jennie listened to the same song through a cracked speaker, eyes closed, heart aching, but finally, undeniably her own. The night before the Global Awards, show felt like a held breath stretched too long. Rosé sat in front of the mirror, makeup untouched, stage dress hanging behind her like a question she wasn't sure she could answer. Bruno stood near the window, city lights cutting his silhouette in half. They're pairing us for the finale, he said quietly. Producers think controversy equals ratings. Rosé didn't turn around. And what do you think? I think if we say no, it looks like guilt, Bruno replied. If we say yes, it looks like provocation. She finally met his eyes through the mirror. Everything we do looks like a crime now. His phone buzzed, a message, then another. His jaw tightened. What is it? Rosé asked. Jennie's team just confirmed, he said slowly. She's performing too, solo slot, right before us. The room went cold. Rosé stood abruptly. That's not coincidence. No, Bruno agreed. That's confrontation dressed as choreography. Backstage the next night, the tension was so thick it felt like smoke in the lungs. Crew members whispered, glances darting between dressing rooms like spectators waiting for an explosion. Jennie stood alone near the curtains, dressed in black, calm and lethal in her stillness. Rosé spotted her first. Their eyes met. Time stalled. Jennie broke the silence by walking straight toward her. So, Jennie said, voice low, this is the stage they chose to bleed on. Rosé swallowed. I didn't ask for this. Jennie tilted her head. Neither did I, but here we are. Bruno stepped forward. Jennie. She raised a hand. Not now. Her gaze never left Rosé. Are you scared? Rosé didn't hesitate. Yes. Jennie's lips curved faintly. Good. Fear means you still care. A stage manager rushed in. 30 seconds. Jennie leaned closer to Rosé, voice barely above a whisper. Watch me tonight, not as your shadow, as myself. Then she turned and walked toward the light. Her performance was devastating. Every note landed like a confession sharpened into a blade. The crowd went silent halfway through, as if breathing would disrespect the moment. When she sang the line about loving someone who never chose her out loud, Rosé felt her knees tremble backstage. Bruno watched too, fists clenched, tears unapologetic. When the applause finally erupted, it sounded like absolution and accusation all at once. Then it was Rosé and Bruno's turn. They walked onto the stage together, hands brushing but not holding. The lights flared. The crowd screamed. As the first notes played, Bruno leaned toward her. If you want to stop. Don't, Rosé whispered. Sing. They sang like it was the last honest thing they were allowed to do. Every lyric heavy with things unsaid. Every harmony tight with restraint. Halfway through, Rosé broke. Her voice cracked, tears spilling openly as she sang the line about loving someone when the world is watching and judging. The crowd gasped. Bruno reached for her instinctively. She didn't pull away. From the wings, Jennie watched, chest aching, eyes burning, but she didn't look away. After the show, chaos erupted backstage. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras pushed too close. "Jennie," someone yelled, "do you feel replaced?" She stopped walking and turned. "No," Jennie said clearly. "I feel released." The room froze. Rosé stood a few feet away, heart pounding. Jennie continued, voice steady. "Love isn't something you steal or lose. It's something you survive." She looked at Rosé then, really looked at her. "Take care of each other," Jennie said softly. "Just don't call it destiny if it leaves wreckage." Rosé stepped forward, tears streaming. "I never wanted to hurt you." Jennie nodded. "I know, that doesn't mean it didn't happen." Then, unexpectedly, she opened her arms. The hug was brief, tight, honest. Cameras caught it. The world exploded. Later, alone in the dressing room, Rosé collapsed onto the couch, shaking. "I don't know how to carry this," she admitted. Bruno sat beside her. "We carry it by not rewriting it." She turned to him, eyes fierce through tears. "No more silence, no more half-truths. If we're doing this, we do it clean, or we don't do it at all." He took her hands. "I'm done hiding." Outside, headlines screamed. Opinions clashed, narratives burned. But inside that quiet room, something irreversible had happened. Not forgiveness, not erasure. Just truth standing bare, breathing and painfully alive. And somewhere across the city, Jennie stood alone on a balcony, night wind tangling her hair, whispering to herself with a sad, steady smile, "I chose me." For the first time, it didn't hurt to say it. The morning after the awards show felt unreal, like waking up inside a rumor that refused to fade. Rosé sat at the kitchen table, scrolling without really seeing. Headlines blurred together. Words like betrayal, bravery, confession, collapse. Every version of the story was louder than the truth she carried in her chest. Bruno entered quietly, hair still damp from the shower, eyes tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. "She posted again," he said. Rosé looked up sharply. "Jennie." He nodded and slid his phone across the table. A single sentence, no photo this time. "I didn't lose love. I outgrew the silence." Rosé closed her eyes. Her voice came out raw. "She's walking forward, and we're still standing in the wreckage." Bruno sat across from her. "Do you regret it?" She laughed, sudden and bitter. "Which part? Loving you, hurting her, being watched like a crime scene?" "All of it," he said softly. Rosé leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "I regret pretending love could be clean when it started in fear." That hurt him more than any accusation. Before he could answer, the doorbell rang. They froze. Another ring, longer this time. Bruno stood. "I'll handle it." Rosé followed anyway. When the door opened, Jennie stood there. No security, no manager, just her, sunglasses pushed into her hair, eyes calm but sharp. "I'm not here to fight," Jennie said before either of them could speak. "And I'm not here to forgive." Rosé's breath caught. "Then why are you here?" Jennie stepped inside, looking around slowly. "Because I'm tired of having the loudest conversations with strangers." The door closed behind her with a soft, final sound. Bruno swallowed. "We didn't expect." "I know," Jennie cut in. "You never did." Silence pulsed between them. Rosé broke first. "I watched you last night from the wings. I wanted to run to you." Jennie turned to her. "Why didn't you?" "Because I didn't know if that would be love or guilt," Rosé whispered. Jennie studied her for a long moment. "That's the first honest thing you've said to me in weeks." Bruno finally spoke, voice strained. "Jennie, She raised a hand. "I'm not here for apologies." She looked directly at him now. "I need to say something, and you need to listen without defending yourself." He nodded, jaw tight. "I loved you," Jennie said calmly. "Not loudly, not desperately. I loved you in ways that made room for you, and you mistook that space for permission." Bruno's eyes filled. "I didn't mean to." "I know," she replied. "That's why it took me so long to stop." Rosé felt tears spill. "I never wanted to take something that was yours." Jennie's gaze softened slightly. "You didn't take him, he walked, and I let him." She stepped closer to Rosé. But hear this. Love doesn't excuse blindness. You both hid behind tenderness when you should have faced the damage. Rosé nodded, shaking. I see it now. Jennie exhaled. Good, because this is where I draw the line. Bruno frowned. What line? Jennie turned to him. I don't want to be the third chapter in your redemption arc. Don't write songs about me. Don't hint. Don't reference. Let me exist without being a lesson. That's fair, he said immediately. She nodded, then looked at Rosé again. And you, don't make yourself smaller to make him brave. If he hesitates again, don't wait. Rosé's voice trembled. I won't. For the first time, Jennie smiled. Small, real, sad. Then we're done here, she said. This isn't closure, it's separation. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. For what it's worth, I don't hate either of you. I just love myself more now. The door closed. Rosé collapsed onto the couch, hands over her face. That was devastating. Bruno sat beside her, staring at the door like it might open again. She was stronger than us the whole time. Rosé lowered her hands and looked at him, eyes red but steady. I need to ask you something, and I need the truth even if it breaks us. He turned to her. Ask. If she hadn't walked away, Rosé said slowly, would you have? The question hung between them, merciless. Bruno's silence stretched too long. Rosé stood abruptly. That's my answer. Wait, he said, standing too. It's not that simple. It is, she shot back. I won't be chosen only when someone else chooses themselves first. He reached for her arm. I'm here now. She pulled away. Now isn't enough if you're still learning how to arrive. Her voice cracked. I love you, but I refuse to be the reward for your growth. Bruno's face crumpled. Are you leaving? Rosé shook her head, tears falling freely. No, I'm asking you to meet me where I am, fully, or tell me you can't. He stepped closer, voice breaking. I can, I'm scared, but I can. She searched his face, looking for hesitation, for retreat. Then don't just stand beside me when it's loud, she said. Stand when it's quiet, when no one's watching, when it costs you comfort. He nodded fiercely. I will. Outside, the city kept buzzing, narratives colliding, fans arguing, truths bending. But inside that room, something shifted again. Not dramatic, not performative. Just two people standing in the aftermath, stripped of excuses, finally understanding that love wasn't the storm. Avoidance was. And this time, neither of them turned away. The silence after Jennie left didn't heal anything. It sharpened it. Rosé stood by the window long after the door closed, arms wrapped around herself, watching the city move like nothing had cracked open inside their apartment. Bruno remained behind her, close enough to feel, not close enough to touch. You didn't answer, she said quietly. He knew what she meant. I was afraid, Bruno admitted. Not of losing you, of admitting how long it took me to choose. Rosé turned slowly. Her eyes were red but steady, the kind of calm that came after something irreversible. That fear almost made me disappear. He swallowed. I know. No, she said, voice tightening. You don't. Because while you were afraid of choosing, I was afraid of being chosen last. The words hit him harder than any headline. Before he could respond, her phone rang. A video call, unknown number. Rosé hesitated, then answered. The screen filled with a familiar face. A producer, one of the most powerful ones. We need you both, the man said without greeting. Tonight, emergency meeting. Bruno leaned in. About what? About damage control, the producer replied bluntly. And an offer. The meeting room was cold and glassy, walls reflecting their own fractured expressions back at them. Executives lined the table, smiles sharp and practiced. We can end this, one woman said smoothly. The narrative, the chaos, a joint statement, carefully worded, emotional but vague. Rosé stiffened. You want us to lie again. The woman smiled thinner. We want you to survive. Another executive slid a tablet forward. And there's more. A duet tour, framed as healing, redemption cells. Bruno stared at the screen. And Jennie. A pause. She won't be mentioned, the man said. Clean cut. Rosé laughed, a short, incredulous sound. You're asking us to erase her. We're asking you to move on, he corrected. Rosé stood. No. The room murmured. You don't understand, the woman said. Refuse this and you burn bridges. Sponsors are already nervous. Rosé's hands trembled, but her voice didn't. Then let them burn. I won't build my future on someone else's silence. All eyes turned to Bruno. He felt it, the old instinct to smooth, to compromise, to delay. Rosé watched him closely. If you hesitate again, don't wait, Jennie's voice echoed in her mind. Bruno pushed the tablet back. We're not doing it. The executives froze. You're making a mistake, one warned. Maybe, Bruno said, but it'll be ours. They walked out into the hallway, hearts pounding, careers trembling on a knife edge. In the elevator, Rosé finally exhaled. Thank you. He nodded. I meant what I said, no more half choices. That night, the internet detonated again. A leak, not from them. A rehearsal clip surfaced, old footage, grainy but unmistakable. Jennie in a studio months ago, singing a melody that sounded hauntingly similar to a song Bruno had released later. Accusations exploded. Plagiarism, betrayal, theft. Rosé stared at the screen in horror. This is going to destroy her. Bruno's face drained of color. I never used that melody, I swear. Intent doesn't matter now, Rosé said. Perception does. Bruno grabbed his keys. I'm going to her. Rosé caught his arm. Alone. He met her eyes. She deserves that much. Hours later, Jennie opened her door to find Bruno standing there, breathless, eyes frantic. I didn't steal from you, he said immediately. I need you to hear that from me, not the internet. Jennie looked tired, not angry, just exhausted. I know, she said quietly. I recognize the progression, it's similar, not stolen. He sagged in relief. Then let me say it publicly. She shook her head. No. Bruno frowned. Why? Because this time, Jennie said firmly, you don't get to be the hero of my survival. He flinched. She stepped closer. If you defend me now, they'll say I needed you to be credible. I don't. He nodded slowly. Then what do you want? Her eyes softened just a little. I want you to stay quiet, and I want you to trust that I can stand alone. Back at the apartment, Rosé waited, heart racing, until Bruno returned near dawn. Well, she asked. She doesn't want us to speak, he said. Rosé closed her eyes. Then we don't. Days passed. Jennie released a raw acoustic video explaining nothing, singing everything. The internet shifted. Sympathy returned. Respect followed. One night, Rosé sat beside Bruno on the floor, back against the couch, lights off. This could still fall apart, she said softly. I know, he replied. She turned to him. If it does, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't turn pain into poetry before you've lived with it, she said. Don't rush to make meaning just to feel better. He took her hand, squeezing it tightly. I promise. Outside, the city breathed. Inside, the quiet felt earned, not empty. And somewhere else, Jennie stood on a small stage, no spectacle, no drama, just her voice, steady and free. For the first time, none of them were running. They were standing in the consequences. And that somehow felt like progress. The calm didn't last. It never did. The call came at midnight, slicing through the fragile peace Rosé and Bruno had built with exhaustion and honesty. Bruno answered groggily, then sat upright so fast the sheets tangled around his legs. What? Rosé asked, already knowing it was bad. He stared at the wall, knuckles whitening around the phone. Jennie collapsed. The hospital corridor smelled like antiseptic and fear. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, too bright, too indifferent. Rosé paced while Bruno stood frozen near the vending machines, replaying every unsent message, every silence he'd mistaken for respect. A doctor finally approached. She's stable, severe exhaustion, dehydration, emotional stress. Rosé pressed a hand to her mouth. Can we see her? The doctor hesitated, briefly. Jennie lay pale against white sheets, eyes closed, lashes dark against her skin. She looked smaller without the armor of stages and microphones. Her eyes fluttered open when they stepped inside. So, Jennie murmured weakly, this is the part where everyone pretends they're not scared. Rosé rushed to her side. Don't joke. I'm not, Jennie said softly. I'm tired. Bruno stood back, guilt clawing up his throat. I'm sorry. Jennie turned her head toward him. For what? Loving someone else? Or waiting until my body broke to realize silence isn't strength? He swallowed hard. For not seeing how much you were carrying. She studied him for a long moment. You saw, you just didn't want to look too closely. Rosé's tears fell freely now. Please don't do this alone anymore. Jennie sighed, closing her eyes again. I don't want to be brave today. Those words shattered something in the room. The next morning, the news broke anyway. Not the collapse, something worse. An anonymous interview surfaced. A former staff member. Accusations of manipulation, emotional negligence, power imbalance. Names weren't said, but implications screamed. Rosé read the article with shaking hands. They're turning her pain into a weapon. Bruno slammed his fist into the counter. This is my fault. No, Rosé said sharply. This is what happens when people profit from broken stories. At the hospital, Jennie watched the headlines scroll by on mute. They always do this, she said flatly. They don't want healing, they want blood. Bruno stepped closer to her bed. Let me speak, let me end this. Jennie's eyes flashed open. No. Jennie. She pushed herself upright despite the IV. If you speak now, it confirms their narrative, that I'm a victim who needs saving. Rosé's voice trembled. Then what do we do? Jennie looked between them, breath shallow but steady. We stop letting them decide whose pain matters more. That afternoon, against medical advice and every PR strategy, Jennie requested a live broadcast. No makeup, no stage, just a chair, a glass of water, and the truth. Millions tuned in within minutes. I'm not here to accuse, Jennie said calmly into the camera. And I'm not here to be defended. I'm here because I'm tired of watching my silence become someone else's storyline. She paused, hands steady despite the tremor in her voice. I loved someone who couldn't choose fast enough. That hurt, but pain doesn't make me powerless. It made me honest. Comments exploded. Support, rage, confusion. Back at the apartment, Rosé watched, heart racing. Jennie continued. And to those turning this into a war between women, stop. Love isn't a competition. It's a series of choices. Some are made too late. She took a breath. I'm stepping back, from noise, from speculation, from anyone who needs me broken to feel entertained. The stream ended. Silence followed like an exhale the world didn't know it was holding. Rosé sank onto the couch, sobbing. She's incredible. Bruno nodded, tears spilling freely. And I almost cost her that. Later that night, Rosé and Bruno returned to the hospital. Jennie was asleep, peaceful for the first time in days. They stood together at the door. We should go, Rosé whispered. Bruno nodded, then hesitated. Rosé, if she hadn't stopped me. She cut him off gently. Don't finish that sentence. He looked at her, desperate. I need to know you won't always wonder. Rosé took his face in her hands. I will wonder. That's what honesty does, but I'm still here. He closed his eyes, forehead resting against hers. I'll spend my life earning that. Weeks later, Jennie disappeared from the spotlight. No updates, no statements. Rosé and Bruno canceled appearances. The world raged, then slowly moved on to its next spectacle. One evening, Rosé received a message. A simple photo. Jennie on a beach, barefoot, hair wild, smiling without performance. The caption read, I'm breathing again. Rosé smiled through tears and typed back, so am I. Bruno watched her, something softer settling into his chest. Is this peace? Rosé leaned into him, tired but real. It's not the ending. He kissed her hair gently. Then we'll stay honest in the middle. Far away, waves crashed against the shore as Jennie closed her eyes, letting the sun warm skin that had survived too much.